Let's get it. Ya Baraka Kumi Hall by Sham Hamashak Yawashai, it's your brother Karatazaya Bun, Yasharala. Let me copy this link real quick. I'm gonna put in this room as copy. Now this link gonna be up here in case anybody wanna join in. Here's my question. Was Job an Edomite? Alright. Here's the link. If anybody would like to join, I'm gonna send out the invites just in case anybody wants to build. All right. So definitely burning the midnight oil and the Elijah sleep. I'm so grateful to Yahweh for that. I'm gonna start this when I got younger. Start this music real quick. Let's see this screen share popping. All right. There we go. There you go. All right. If you would like to, this is the soundtrack that I'm grooving to. All right. I like to share things. All right. I like to share. Speaking of sharing, we're gonna look at some information. There we go. Let's get this up. So here's the link to where you can get this instrumental that I'll be playing. And here is what we'll be watching. Also, what we'll be reading some of. All right. All right, so let's share this instead. And you can see that says what subject. Subject. It says astronomy. The astronomy mona. The astronomy monia. Monia. Mo. 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 Nomia. Nomia. Astronomia. That's the astronomia. There we go. The astronomia. There we go. The astronomia. The astronomia. The astronomia. That's the topic we're gonna be touching on. All right. So, also, was Job an Edomite? That's a sincere question. I want to know. We got so many brews that talk about Job and 12 tribes. I want to know, was Job an Edomite? Does anybody have any biblical proof that Job was not an Edomite? This is real questions. Does anyone have biblical proof saying that Job was not an Edomite? Sincerely. If you do, bring it forward. Because as far as I know, from what I was taught, Job was not an Edomite. As far as what I was taught Job was an Israelite. He was a righteous man. And how can a white man, Job, be righteous? Isn't that an interesting question? Ain't no such thing as a righteous Edomite. Show me a righteous Edomite anywhere in the Bible. I thought that was interesting. But at the same time, I like to say, hey, if you're watching this, Shalom, I'm going through and actually getting this screen ready to screen share. All right. Let's go through here real quick. Crumb worm, you know what it is. Let's get it. I got 14 friends. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I got 14 friends. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Kwame Ashrali, Yabraka Kamiyawa, Bashama Mashak Yawashai. Just a quick reminder. All right, let me see. Can I? You are diligent, you are strong, you are loved, you are wanted, you are enough, you are Judah. Salute. All right, so there are some conversational pieces that are within my Facebook that I want to get to because there's some questions that I wanted to answer. And one of those questions was pertaining to Job. Now, even though we are going to look at the astronomia, even though we're going to look at that, I also need to be able to talk about this topic. So, question came into my Facebook, brother, with politics and cool stuff, and Job Edomite, Job not an Edomite. What's your thoughts, brother? What's your thoughts, brother? Well, as far as what I've seen, what I've been taught, how could Job be Edomite? Right? I'm gonna pull up something, and this is gonna go good with our astronomy. So these are our two topics for right now. We're gonna be looking at astronomy and Job. I want to share this page real quick. This is Stefan Burns. Stefan Burns is a geophysicist, which he is going to very plainly tell you that himself. Stefan Burns, I've communicated back and forth with this guy, and he is a beast. All right, this dude is a beast. He gives hourly updates on solar weather. So when I'm talking to people and I'm like, yeah, we really want to watch for, these earthquakes that's going on around the world. I'm not only doing my research, I'm researching who and what I'm researching. All right. So we got some people that don't believe the earth is a sphere. And I almost laughed when I said that the earth is a sphere, as it's been documented. This cat right here is Stefan Burns. I want to introduce you to him, geophysicist. The dude is a beast. All right, solar weather bro. All right, he gets off into his cosmic feelings and being in tune with the universe and quartz and stuff like that, which I don't think we should be against because the 12 tribes, which who we are, which I introduced myself to the man, Joshua Oliver. So hey man, I'm sharing information out of Israel. So I want to get you all introduced to him too. The 12 tribes, we wore breastplates with stones that had properties. All right. So, but before we go into that, let's look at this. What we're looking at on our screen right here is a picture. I want to make sure, so when y'all do see this, you can see it. What we are looking at is a picture of the sun. All right. So this is currently what our sun looks like. Okay. Our sun right now looks terrifying. Right now, our sun looks angry. Those dark spots are bald patches. Okay, let me go ahead and play one. Those dark spots are bald patches. Imagine canyons or great caverns in the sun. If you can hear me okay, put a 7 in the room. Just if you got a finger to do it, just to help everybody out in the future. If you do it, you'll help everybody out. And they'll say, oh, yeah, we heard the video just fine. All right. That's one of the worst things. You get to a whole video, the video be jamming, man. It's like, we couldn't hear you. All right, put a 7 in the room if you can hear me real quick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue. So point of saying such as to say, this man right here is a genius. I'm going to play this video real quick. This is what our current state of our sun looks like. The earth is a sphere. No, it is not flat. That's a fun conversation we can have. We can talk about the ice wall and all that other stuff, and I'll ask you why isn't the ice wall going completely around the planet? All right, why is it moving in out because it's an ice wall? Doesn't make sense. We can go to a bunch of cool stuff, and yes, I do like studying astronomy. Like we said, I also like studying astronomy from the Hebrew perspective. All right, not just one book, many books, and the main source is the Bible. All right, no confusion. This is currently what our sun looks like. All of these dark spots are huge canyons and crevices that have sunken into the sun. So these huge crevices are now shooting out what are called, this has been happening since the beginning of time. King Solomon, he actually wrote about it, solar mass ejections. All right. So you'll find out a lot about solar mass ejections. You'll hear more about them on the news and stuff. Right now, what's happening in our world is the same things that you see happen in the scary movies, where it's actually the end of the world, and the media and stuff, and trying to make it look normal. And the president is an idiot, and they're panicking, and they're trying to hide it behind the scenes. If you want to watch a really good movie, watch the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. It's called Don't Look Up. That's currently what we have going on right now. And not to mention the coming of Christ, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, who the world calls Jesus. That's currently happening too. People aren't mentioning and talking about it enough, right? I don't know, they're scared to say it or something. This cat gives phenomenal information. If you recognize that the sun does not look okay, this is not just CGI, okay? The sun can be photographed. If you're thinking you can't see the sun, then you just don't understand spectrograph cameras. That's all. And I understand you can look through coronagraphs and you can coronagraphs. All right. You can see a corona photograph, coronograph. You see how easy that is? Corona of the sun, right? And a photograph of it. You can see that by just putting a little blockage in front of the main light and then take a picture of the light that's coming around it. So it is possible. I'm going to play this real quick because I want you all to hear what's going on. We're not going to play the whole video because it is, what is this? An hour and 5 minutes. I will watch it for an hour. I'll watch it and I'll come back and tell you all what I found out. But just real quick, I want to play this first part so you all can hear what's going on in space and solar weather. Then we'll look at Job and astronomy. All right, so this is a perfect time. All right. All right, and that's perfect. We'll let that fade out and go straight to our video. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. Don't fire the DJ.
Boom, everybody. I just checked the real-time solar wind before going live. I'm just jotting down my notes, my data on my pad here, and holy cow, things just jumped up to a new level. This is no joke. I've been kind of waiting for this, but this is serious. So, hey everyone, hello and welcome. I'm your host, Stefan Burns. We're going to jump right into it. We see the sun right here. This is not normal. This many coronal holes on the sun of this gigantic size is not normal. Does not mean it has never happened before. The sun is like 4.5 plus billion years old, but it's not normal. It's not every single day. We had 2 solar storms launch over the past few days, 2 filaments in between, basically a bunch of plasma. It got sticky. It combined into one big storm that has been hitting us now for about 24 hours, slowly ramping up. Well, the final impact now has begun. The solar wind strength slowly increased up to 21. Normally it's 5 nanotesla. 21 is 4 times stronger.
Let me pause real quick. So for the past couple of weeks leading up into the Passover, and some of you may have noticed I've been saying happy Passover to everybody early because I knew, just like everyone else knows, that we're going to a spiritual warfare time frame to where people are going to start acting weird, funny, strange towards each other. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you can't help it. If you notice like people tripping, it's not you. It's just the time frame that the spirit of what's his name? Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot, you know, the spirit of Hashatan, the betrayer, went around. Hamashiach was crucified around this time frame. That's what people are forgetting. Around this time frame, Yasharallah, our whole community, we were preparing to get ready for the Passover and having our lambs out, get ready to slaughter something. Somebody got to go. It might as well be you. You might be the sacrificial lamb of your community. So just pay attention to this real quick. It's not just what we're seeing in front of us, it's what's happening in the heavens also. All right, all of this stuff works perfectly together. So we've been having planetary alignments. We've had sounds emitting from outer space. You know, him being the professional that he is, you know, he doesn't talk like me. He don't talk like us. He doesn't say stuff like, he's, however this man speaks is wonderfully and eloquently in his zone. And, you know, when you are in the Israelite community and you're saying stuff roughly, you know, as the scripture says, cry loud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, right? When we're saying stuff a lot of times, not to exasperate, but, you know, saying to warn people, all right? That's what we're supposed to do. This man is doing a really calm job of warning people of what's going on. And he's got tons of videos doing it. You can listen to his videos if you have an ear, or you can watch them and you can say, wow, I did not know that's what was going on in space. So these coronal holes are, as he said, not normal. Okay. You'll have blotches of coronal holes around the earth, around the sun. And you have to remember, the sun is massively larger than the earth. The sun is massively larger than the earth. So these coronal holes that are letting out blasts of coronal mass ejections, which are sending solar winds that are smacking our planet's ionosphere with plasma, Like our Earth is getting backhanded. Imagine a big old bully, light skinned bully too. You know, light skinned people be having attitudes with big foreheads. I don't know why. I don't know. People be like, you, I'm not. I don't think I'm light skinned. I'm evenly tan. Whatever. I don't know. Imagine a big bully just walking up to you and just backhand you left hand, backhand right hand. I mean, just using both hands to backhand you. This is what's happening from the Earth's perspective. The sun is backhanding the earth with blast. And this is all mitigated by the Most High. Yahweh is in control of all of this because while this is happening, we also have Three Eye Atlas is still up there. All right. I praise Yahweh. He's delivered me from a lot of things. All right. Three Eye Atlas is still up there moving around, going left and right, changing colors, doing all kinds of stuff. Three Eye Atlas is so bugged out, they was like, we're just going to stop telling the people about it. I watched the slow progression. I watched it when it was a big anticipation thing. It was all crazy. And it was like, yo. And then I watched like the people like, yeah, let's see. And I watched the whole progression. It's crazy. And now I watched nobody mention it, but it's still there. So we have not only the sun tripping, we have planetary. The sun has been tripping. On my last Facebook, Isaiah Yasharala, I was like, hey, y'all, the sun tripping. The sun tripping. You know, hey, y'all, the sun tripping. These solar, these, I like to call them canyons, right? Because they're these large holes that are in the sun flux in and flux out like a match, burning in, burning out, blowing in, blowing out. There have been times where the sun, no CGI needed, it looked like a smiley face. And it was so scary because it was actually our sun, our closest star, turning above our heads doing this. Let's see what else Stefan got to say before we get to reading.
But it didn't have a magnetic field configuration that was basically conducive to triggering a geomagnetic storm. So it was like, okay, I have a feeling this is going to be a big impact, but we're kind of waiting. We're kind of waiting. Now, right when this storm impacted, magnitude 6.6 earthquake popped off Shetland Islands, second biggest of the year, and also a magnitude 6.1 Vanuatu island. So
Now, if you don't know what he's saying, he's telling you every time these huge holes open up in the sun, there's blast. Imagine, sorry, this is midnight oil. People probably gonna watch this later. My daughter's asleep, and I'm going in. Imagine if a person farted and there was a huge fart, like whatever. That wind that comes. First of all, you have the blast. Then after the blast, you have the wind, right? Then you have what's the air from it. Unfortunately, that would be the funk of it. That would be the plasma. So it's a three-stage process. You know what I'm saying? You have the sound, the explosion, which is the sound. You have the explosion, boom. You have the blowing forward, the wind, and then you have the lasting effect of the smell, the funk. That would be the plasma. This is what's happening to our planet. It's being blasted. Bow, 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 bow. And there are solar spots. I want to do another video, but I don't think, you know what I'm saying? I want to show another video because all of these things you can track. I've shown people videos on my phone, screen sharing. You can use augmented reality on your personal devices to link with the satellites and show you exactly where your coordinates are, where the constellations are, where the planets are, where the sun is, where the moon is, from right where you are, from your phone, from your device. So I like to play around with this stuff, but what's happening with the sun is very terrifying. So what he's showing us is that each one of these holes, when they're sending out the solar mass ejections, these huge waves, when it smacks the earth, it's not just nothing happening. We're having earthquakes in diverse places, as the scriptures prophesy. We are having diverse earthquakes in Kansas. You feel me? Like people are like, oh yeah, Kansas kind of sound like it. Nah. We're having earthquakes. Listen, there are underwater earthquakes that are waking up volcanoes. That's what this man is putting people onto. And what we do is bring the scriptural prophetic side to it. Amen.
back to back, one south of South America near Antarctica, actually just the tip of Antarctica, the other one in the Kermadec Trench, Tonga, south, like South Pacific, basically, right? Back to back within 2 hours, right as this solar storm impact first began. Now things are going nuts with this impact. Let me show you the.
Y'all hear that? This man said now things are going nuts. See, you can't feel it because this earth that we live on, whether a person believes it or not, is a sphere and it is spinning. All right. We can't feel these small things, these huge things that are far away from us, you know what I'm saying? But the people that are there feel it. Better believe the people that are being bombed right now, they feel it. We just don't feel it in the comfort of our homes with our Wi Fi, you know what I'm saying, and our blankets and our pillows and all those stuff. We just don't feel it. All right. But it's happening all over the world. Reality of it is, I mean, it's Revelations time. It's Revelations time. All right. And it's being broadcast. The Most High said he will use the Gentiles to minister unto us. This man is doing an excellent job of teaching solar weather. All right. He's teaching it scholarly, top grade form and giving it to people genuinely at a process way that you can look at for yourself. And some people might say, well, NASA means deceive in Hebrew. NASA does not mean deceive in Hebrew. You can go and look up this is not isolated information. I'm just giving you one source of it. All right. Hold on, let's see.
Real-time solar wind, because I turned this on live early so you could get my reaction. This is pretty wild. So here we have our real-time solar wind. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm your host, Stefan Burns, geologist, geophysicist, your cosmic bro, here to help you understand what is happening on our planet. And I wrote this whole list out. It's insane. We had pyroclastic flow, Mount Semeru, Indonesia, flash floods for Hawaii. There is a risk of an imminent dam failure there. We have a Category 5 cyclone that smashed into northeast Australia. This is Cyclone Narelli. It's now Category 3. Will probably re-strengthen with this happening right here. We had a gigantic coronal mass ejection launched on the far side of the sun. And there's a lot happening. Record heat.
Now, as you can see, this man's got a lot going on to tell you. I'm not going to suffer you to go through the rest of this. I've already went through it. When he was talking about the massive coronal mass ejection going on the backside of the sun, see, the problem with that is that the backside of the sun in about 4 weeks will be turned towards the earth. You get it? Now, what just happened on the backside of the sun doesn't affect us directly. All right. But with these different damaged sections within the sun, they do affect us when these winds and these different holes. Imagine a strobe light. And as the strobe light turns in the sky, a huge strobe light, it has glass panels. And each one of those glass panels are slowly breaking and falling off as you're under it. That's what the sun is doing right now. It's losing its panels. The Most High is blowing it out, and it's blowing out the light from inside coming towards the earth. I want to share this book with everybody. So that's a heads up real quick. That's what's going on. It is not a secret. It is public information. Please don't let social media drown you out. Most High got me, in a wonderful place, and, that place is to be able to sit still. But I can't speak as much as or as liberally as I would like to. So I would like it if you all look at this information for yourself. All right. So let me post this real quick in here. And I'll be trying to hold my tongue because there's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? And then watch this. You're not the only one that's under attack. I am too. We all are. Everybody's under attack. Everybody's under spiritual warfare attack. Happy Passover. Welcome to the revolution. Welcome to the wake up. You know what happened? There was a man who was being put to death, and his name was Yahushua Hamashiach. The world ignorantly and sometimes accidentally called him Jesus. And what happened was, while he was being murdered, he was at spiritual warfare against the principalities of evil. Put a 7 in the room if you can hear me okay. Put a 3 in the room if the audio is too loud. Put a 3 if it's too loud, a 7 if it's okay if you can hear me all right. All right. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit for myself. All right. I got to try to get it right on the money. Oh, no, wait. Dang it. I didn't. Wait. I'm gonna leave it right there. I think that's where no, that's a little bit lower. That's a little bit lower. That sounds good to me. All right, appreciate it. So check this. We're gonna start real quick right here. All right. The astronomia, astronomy. Now, before we get started with this, I just want to tell y'all every perspective that I come from is from a Hebrew perspective, which means that my foundation is the Bible. Okay. All right. So now, can we use other sources? Absolutely. Will I use other sources? Absolutely. Do I go outside the Bible? Absolutely. And the only reason I do that is to help validate the Bible. You know what I'm saying? My first mission was try to disprove the Bible. Then I found out, like, oh, this thing is hard to disprove. It keep proving itself. And that just killed it for me. All right. So, real quick, we're going to start right here. All right. So, keep changing the page. All right, so we have page 99. So just to let everybody know, if you lose your page, just go back to page 99. All right. So this book is called Isidore of Seville's Etymologies. And if you're not hip to him, Isidore was a dope dude. He was just like, he just loved wisdom. So his thing was to learn everything and pass it down. That's the same principle that King Solomon taught us. You know what I'm saying? Pass down the wisdom. All right. So instead of just etymology of words, he did etymology of everything. So this section right here, music. All right, and then after music, you should see astronomy. Yeah, 99, 99. All right, boom. The name astronomy, the astronomy, astronomy is the law of the stars, aster, which is by investigation, reasoning, touches on the courses of the constellations and the figures and positions of the stars relative to each other to the Earth. A lot of people believe that the Earth is flat. It is not. I'm not sorry to tell you that. I'm happy to share with you proof, not only in this literature, but in many others, that the early church fathers never taught that the earth was flat. I shouldn't say never because that's not true. That's actually inaccurate. I had to look at that up. I had to look at it like which early, church fathers actually believed that the earth was not a sphere. So, but I will say the vast minority, you know, it was a very small number who believed that the earth was flat. All right. So when people usually come with stuff, they be like the United Nations flag. I'll be like, nope, because here's the name of the guy who made the United Nations flag, and he didn't believe that the Earth was flat. That's just not true. Point of saying such as to say things go a lot deeper than what's the surface. Looking at what's in front of us, TikTok, Instagram, and all that cool stuff. Not coming against it, not trying to make nobody feel bad or clown nobody. You know what I'm saying? But when we're looking at that as our main source, instead of going back to these books, because there was a time when our community was excited about books. We used to take pictures with our books. So I just want to share this real quick in case you haven't seen it. All right. Let me read this. We're still in the same section. All right. Isidore Seville's Etymologies on astronomy. All right. So specifically, those who established astronomy in both languages, there are indeed volumes that have been written by diverse writers about astronomy. Among these writers, Ptolemy, the king of Alexandria, is thought to excel, watch this, among the Greeks, for he established the canons whereby the courses of the stars are discovered. You have some that will stop right there and say, it was the Greeks. You're listening to the Greeks. That's white man XYZ. I was told that so many times. I'm listening to white man science, or white man, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's not true, though. That's not true. That's just a small portion. Look at this section right here. The inventors of astronomy, right? The Egyptians were the first to discover astronomy. That's a head chopper right there for Esau and for any other nation who want to try to take credit for. As a matter of fact, Flavius Josephus kills every nation that try to take credit for astronomy. But we don't stop with the Egyptians because I want to tell you all that the Egyptians were not the top brass that had the information pertaining to law, statutes, commandments, judgments, or astronomy. The Egyptians were not the top brass. The Egyptians actually used to put doo-doo in their vaginas to keep the women from getting pregnant. That way, the women could keep their sexy bodies forever as long as their coochies smelled like crocodile crop. Wow, that's nuts. That's true. They use crocodile feces for contraceptive for the women. That's not wise to me. That's not wise to me. We got this cold thing. It's called pull-out game, baby. I don't know. Prayer. I don't know what to tell you. But we ain't doing crocodile doo-doo. No, thank you, Nefertiti. And for those who don't know, Nefertiti was a harlot. Okay, Nefertiti was a straight 304. Okay, the bust of the yeah, she played games on everybody and got all kind of dudes killed for the coochie so she could have rulership. People wear that bust on her head, of her head on their necklace, and be like, "It's Queen of Egypt." Like you got a hole on your chest. So when it comes to the Egyptians, they were not the top brass when it comes to the study and the discovery of astronomy. They were just the ones who took it to the next level, just like the Persians took crucifixion to the next level. The Greeks took it to the next level. But the Persians invented crucifixion. They invented torture, just like there was somebody else who invented studying the science of astronomy. Check this out. However, when you read the word however, that means everything else I said before then. Check this out. Yeah, but and however, the who? The Chaldeans were the first to teach astrology. Check this out. The observation concerning nativities. But the author, Josephus, we reading about Uncle Flavius Josephus. I've told so many Hebrew Israelites, stop hating on Uncle Joe. He got your back. He was a master Levite. And people might say, well, this about him, well, that about him. Yeah, say that. But he had our back and he wrote beautiful history for us. He should be read on Black History Month. February should be Flavius Josephus month. Black History Month, let's read Flavius Josephus to the black children so they can learn about their culture. Cubans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Negroes, Mexicans, North American Indians, those sold into captivity. Watch this. Josephus asserts that who, look at this name, Abraham instructed Egyptians in astrology. What? Wait a minute. We're not in the Bible, everybody. Let me show y'all what book we're in. Let me show y'all. Let me see. Do I got this pulled up? No, that's the Testament of Job. We're gonna look at Job. Let's come over here. I want to show y'all. I want y'all to buy this book. It's not the Sabbath no more. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Today is the first day of the week. Today is the day we came together and we talked about Christ. After Christ resurrected, because it happened. There's many historians who mentioned it. So it's not just in the Bible. No, you got Roman officials who would have got put to death if they lied. They had to say a record. We don't know where this black man's body went. We can't figure out what to do with Pontius Pilate, and he's a good dude. We know he's not lying. We just got to exile him. Pontius Pilate over there shaking in his boots like, oh my God, I just murdered the Messiah. Pontius Pilate was a Christian and he was a white man, for those who didn't know. Let's get this real quick. What was we looking up? A whole bunch of stuff and then some. Astronomy, and we were over here. Let's pull this back up so I can see. Josephus asserts that Abraham instructed the Egyptians in astrology. All right, boom. The Greeks say, so let's go to the share screen. And let's go to St. John of Damascus on light, fire, stars, luminaries. Uh-oh. All right, so we're going to pull that up now. We're going to hold that page, everybody. It's just for your viewing pleasure. All right, I know it's a whole bunch of pale faces. All right, but don't let that deter you. All right, it's called iconoclasm. If you change the image of a people long enough, their children believe that that's what it really looked like. Don't worry about it. The book of Maccabees already tells us what they did. They changed our images. We know it's us. Don't worry about it. Watch this. Isidore of Seville's etymologies. Share this page instead real quick. I want y'all to buy this book. Go to this website right here, Amazon. Go whatever website you want to. I don't encourage nobody to, get any book that you can't touch. Okay. I mean, do it if you can, but if you really want to get the spirit of it, you got to touch the book and you got to write it in it. You got to put your spirit in it, right? You want to get this book right here. It's called Isidore of Seville's Etymologies. Now, we're not looking at this price. I purchased this book for, I don't know, maybe the price went up. I don't know, but I don't think so. I purchased this book and found it for like $13. You want to get volume 1 and you want to get volume 2, all right? His work is a translation of the Latin etymology of Isidore, Bishop of Seville. Look, these are his dates. Century, circuit, all right, 560 through 636. Isidore compiled the work between 615 and early 630s. So when we're coming with this information, I'm not talking about some new booty stuff. We coming with old school. The most I say, ask thy fathers, they will show you thy elders, they will tell thee. I go to the old school sources. Once my elders stopped talking to me, I started asking my elders. They surely responded. And watch this. And it takes form of a what? Of an encyclopedia arranged by subject matter. It contains much lore of late classical world, beginning with the seven liberal arts, including rhetoric, and touches thousands of topics ranging from the names of God, the terminology of the law. So when they be coming at me with the law, and how you gonna give me a Black's Law dictionary and think I'm not gonna use it whenever you come to me on a court case? Bro, I'm going to definitely use my law. I'm going to use the Torah. Then I'm going to use Black Law Dictionary. Then I'm going to come to Isidore's bill. I'm going to practice my rhetoric. Then I'm going to go and study the law. And I'm going to come back and see what you said was right or not. I'm going to tell you I'm not participating in what you said because you didn't do it by the law. Here's the proof. It's easy. Listen, look. The terminology is a fabric. The technology is a fabric. When I'm telling people about the garments of the Levites, I can't believe I'm not showing this page. Why ain't nobody tell me I wasn't showing the page? Look. So these are this is the content, right? The technologies of fabrics, and when I'm talking to people that are seamstress and seam sewers, and garment, and I'm like, yo, look at this book, look at this chapter, it'll inspire you. You know what I'm saying? You running around doing this, or you running around not doing nothing, man. Look at this, and you'll be doing something ain't nobody else doing, and make yourself a millionaire. But nah, they like to sit on their hands. I'm not a seamstress. I can't sew. If I could sew, it would be over with. I would be killing y'all in the game because I had all my garments made when I was out of the country. Thank you to my mashpachah. Shout out to Wadi Hawa. When I was out of the country, I drew my garments and then I went and purchased the material and then I had the sink. I had Marcelio. He made all my garments, man. It was so amazing, boy. Listen, this book right here will teach you so much. Ships in agriculture, the names of cities, rivers, theatrical arts, cooking utensils. Isidore provides etymologies for the most terms. He explains, finding causes of the words and underlining key of their meanings. This book offers highly readable translations, 24 books of etymology, one of the most widely known texts for 1,000 years from Isidore's time, and Israelites don't know nothing about it. Hebrew Israelites will look over this book and be like, I'm not going to read that. Blah, 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 blah. My doctrine. Get out of my face, homie. I like to learn. I like to know things. Don't do it. Let's read real quick. See, Flavius Josephus is mentioned in the book of Isidore of Seville. Isn't that something? So why wouldn't Israelites read and learn and use this so they can correct and fix their doctrinal issues? Because a lot of them are proud pickle elders. They've been jarred up inside of the same container, and you know what I'm saying, sucking up juice from each other. I don't know. I don't know. Flavius Josephus is mentioned right here. He tells us that Abraham instructed the Egyptians in astrology. If I go to my book right now, if I go to Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, book number 3, let's do it. Let's just do it. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, book number 3, Abraham in Egypt. Abraham taught the Egyptians astronomy. All right. So I'm going to pull up this page so you all can see it. Hopefully you can read this. Now, I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. If you can, screenshot it for yourself. All right. Now, I didn't finish reading this bottom part. I don't want to go any other direction, but, in the same place of everybody getting some type of understanding. All right. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, and I want you to screenshot this so you can see it for yourself. All right. Somebody said, I got my ear to the streets, you know what I'm saying? I'm on an island of Patmos, but I got a toilet paper roll, you know what I'm saying, up against the wall. You feel me? I know how to drain the water about the bowl and listen to the pipes, you know what I'm saying? People don't know about fishing the kite, I do. You know what I'm talking about? So, I still know how to hear, you know what I'm saying, what's needed to be heard, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing my time. Point of saying such is to say, there was a conversation that came about the earth being flat. And I said, that is ridiculous. How is it I'm all the way over here on the island of Patmos? Israelites are in the whole community and they haven't came together once to read a simple book to tell them the shape of the earth. That's ridiculous. The Bible tells you it's a sphere. I'm not going to go into it because it's a fun topic for me. I want somebody to look at this, and I want somebody to read this and tell me if I made this up or is this not what the early church fathers believed. The position of the celestial sphere. Uh-oh, my topic is done. I can turn off the video right now. It's not even called the earth in the old days. It's called the Esphade. Excuse me, Spheriade. All right, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this one yet, but it's Celestia Situ. I guess we're going to pronounce it. The position of the celestial sphere. Celestial means the heaven. Sphere is a complete circle, not just a flat plane, two-dimensional. It's a three-dimensional plane. I don't have a GED. Somebody help me. The sphere of the sky is a certain shape that is round in form, and its center is the earth, which is equally enclosed on how many sides? All sides. They say that this sphere has neither a beginning nor a end, and this is so because it is round, just like a circle, and it may not easily be comprehended and excuse me may not be easily comprehended at what point it begins, or in other words, you can't tell where the earth ends and where it begins at. It's a perfect sphere. All right, or where it ends. We're at line 2 right here. The philosophers we have proposed 7 heads belonging to the universe, that it is 7 planets from the coordinated motion of their spheres. Now, cool part about this is even if you don't get this, I can show you later. You can look it up for yourself. In the book of Flavius Josephus, you learn about the menorah. It's called the Holy Candlestick. I believe it's in book number 3, book 1, chapter 3, section 3. It's like book 1, 3, because Josephus is dummy big. If you get to book 2, you've gone too far. Because Moses has led us officially out of the wilderness by the power of the Most High, and he's given instructions to a black man named Bezalel, Batizal Allah. And Bezalel builds a 6 foot over 6 foot tall, all golden 7-branch menorah that represented the universe, 7 planets. Is mentioned in Flavius Josephus, is mentioned in the Bible, and then is mentioned right here in this historian's book. The philosophers have proposed 7 heavens belonging to the universe. That is 7 planets. This Negro told me he don't believe in planets. I said, you are a good talking person. I didn't know what to say. He said, you don't believe in planets? I kept going in for Facebook on weeks. Like I was like, niggas don't believe in planets? That was just my whole post. And I tried to put my expression of my accent in there. I think that's why my Facebook got hacked. I hacked myself. So niggas don't believe in planets? That's just crazy. Niggas don't believe in planets. Hey, when 3-Eye Atlas hit, how do you explain a planetary alignment? How do you explain an eclipse? How do you explain new moon? That shows me absolutely cereal box. Cereal box about this small planet that we live on. So the philosophers have proposed that 7 heavens belong to the universe, that is 7 planets, from the coordinated motion of their spheres. This word sphere is everywhere. I don't want to go too much into the earth being round or the earth being flat. It's just a fun conversation. The information is there. You don't have to wonder. I don't get it. You don't have to wonder. All right. So I want to pull up one other thing, and this is positive Black history all the way through and through. I don't really like saying Black history because that's kind of like a sucky phrase. But like I guess I gotta learn how to be more relatable to people again. Like I keep having to reinvent myself, and it's just really like, okay, be all things to all people. Let's get it. All right, we're gonna go to Antiquities of the Jews, Flavius Josephus. All right, Flavius Josephus was a master teacher, Black man. All right, who not only was a general of a vicious army, He was also a priest who performed sacrifices, as we read about today in the book of Leviticus, chapter 1 through chapter 5, which everybody should have seen. You cannot eat pork and think that there is no sacrifice for it. Eating pork is a sin. Do not do it. Numbers chapter 4, if you sin on accident, you don't know it, that's called a sin of ignorance. Numbers chapter 5. I'm sorry, Leviticus. I'm sorry, I apologize, everybody. We're in Leviticus. Levites. When you think of Leviticus, think of the Levites. Levites should be reading this week's Torah portion. The Levites should be reading the Torah portion. How can people claim themselves Levites and they don't take the Levite duty responsibility? You can't even get alms if you don't do your job. You get what I'm talking about? You do your job. The point of saying such is to say, with this week's Torah portion, we read about the sacrifice, and you should have been able to see it in your mind. We're going to read this right here. This is Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, on the history of a black man whose name was Abraham, was the father of Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob. Shout out to KRS1 by Sherman Check Out Shot. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. Now, as soon as Abraham, came into Egypt, it happened to Abraham as he supposed it would, for the fame of his wife's beauty was greatly talked of. So, wow, bad. I don't know who. Hey, who? You see where they come? They ain't from this land. Matter of fact, the conversation was more like, "Did you see that guy who came from the land of the other people? They are not from here. I do not know why they come to here. But I would say if they were like to, we who is said no, that was more like what the conversation was. So, for which reason Pharaoh, the president, right, king of Egypt, would not be satisfied? This man was on fire to see her. And y'all, man, have y'all seen the new pictures of Gorilla Hebrew and Cardi B? I think Cardi B and Gorilla Hebrew. Congratulations to him. That man is doing major moves. He has on her Gorilla Urban Warfare garment, and that man is making moves in the nation. Always making waves, man. Salute to Gorilla Hebrew. Beautiful pictures and beautiful ministry. So Sarah, right? Cardi B is no Sarah. Let me tell y'all right now. Cardi B is no Sarah. I'll tell you that right now. Right? But Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, would not be satisfied with what was reported of her, because everybody's coming back. Yo, Pharaoh, she battered in the Shechemite woman. She battered in she battered in she could call this. But would needs see her himself, and was preparing to enjoy her. But Allah. It says right here, it says God. It don't say Yahweh. It says Allah. Some may say Elohim. Some may say Allahayim. Some may say Allahayaka. Some might say Allahayanawa. Some might say, I don't know how they say it. I was about to go oy vey, but I don't know how they say it. But the point is subject to say is, this is not all capitals Yahweh. This is his angel that's under him. I tell you that this is Yahweh Shai from the Old Testament. Yahweh Shai from the Old Testament was everywhere. Everywhere. And it blows my mind how he's not expressed enough. It blows my mind how he's not taught enough. Yahweh Shai is the Alpha, he is the Omega, he is the beginning, he is the end, he is the first character in Hebrew, he is the last character in Hebrew, he is the Aleph and the Tov, he is the Ah and the Tha, he is the Af. And when you look at the old context in Hebrew, it says Af in the Old Testament. It don't say God, all right? But Af, Allahayim, Elohim, put a stop to his unjust inclinations by sending upon him a distemper and a sedition upon his government. I put my pinky to my mouth like, the bad guy off of Austin Powers. The Most High put a sedition to his government. So if you know what that means, then there were some issues that was going on in the bedrooms worlds. All right. Rest in peace to that. And when he inquired of the priests how he might be freed from these calamities, women not getting pregnant, penises not getting erect, Negroes eating whole cucumbers, I don't know what's happening. I don't, baby, I'm fine. Is it you? Is it you? It ain't me. It's this woman that this man brought into our house. You ain't getting pregnant. We ain't getting hard. Something's going on with our governments. Okay. It ain't just people was losing their jobs. Okay. How he might be free from these calamities. They told him that his miserable condition was derived from the wrath of Elohim, once again, God, Af, all right, upon the account of his inclinations to abuse the stranger's wife. He then, out of fear, asked Sarah, whose she was. Not who are you, but whose are you? Who do you belong to? Who is your head? Tell me who is your head? Who is your father? Is your father alive? Okay, who is your uncle? What's your big brother's name? Do you have a husband? Is your husband alive? Who do you belong to? Who carried you here in that box? Who carried you here in that chest? Don't think about a box or a chest like you would put somebody in, but she was carried in a royal carriage. We carried our daughters in chests to be protected. Who did you come with? Whose she was, and who it was that she brought along with her. And when he had found out the truth, he excused himself to Abraham. Who? When he found out the truth, ain't that something? Because you got to do that with Eve a few times. Keep asking the same question over and over because they are the weaker vessel, and I have a lot to learn. Point of saying such as to say you got to ask them the same question a couple times over and over. Sometimes not all of them, because one daughter is better than another, as the Bible says. But when he found out the truth, he excused himself. He banged out immediately and went to Abram, my grandfather, that supposed the woman to be his sister and not his wife. Yo, ak. So in my times past, in my childishness, and I mean many years ago, which I've never done, maybe I have, but let me give a new one. I in times past, spoke about how bad man, the king was, the Pharaoh was. And I didn't take into consideration that he was genuinely, smittenly in love with Sarah. Now, I knew he was because of the context and how it reads in Sarah and such. But once I read it from Josephus's account, it just put a little more salt on my lamb plate of understanding. Let's see how Josephus breaks it down. Now, and when he had found out the truth, he excused himself to Abram that supposing the woman to be his sister and not his wife, he set his affections on her as desiring an affinity with him by marrying her. See, I didn't all the way get that perspective when I was in Sunday school. But watch this. But not only as incited by lust to, excuse me, I didn't read that right. But not, and this part kicked my butt because I was like, but he's a Canaanite. Canaanites are disgusting. They raped my auntie Dinah. We don't deal with Canaanites. 7 nations, Deuteronomy chapter. We saw the white man. This right here showed me a different perspective of humanity, but not as incited by lust to abuse her. This is where I had to confess that my father Abraham, even though he had the right intentions, and he was right about his judgments because it went how he said, all right, he was wrong about Abimelech's perspective. Abimelech actually was a noble dude. He was a noble Canaanite. Somebody said, show me one good Gentile. I ain't showing you nothing. Study to show yourself. I'll show this example, though. This is one. All right. Yes, I am on the Gentile Defense League. All right. It's your boy, Brother Zaya. Barney Ashara. Somebody say he's trying to say the Gentiles. Duh. So Abimelech, salty because he saw the truth, and him in his heart, he was not incited by lust to abuse her. He also made him. Now, this is what Abimelech wanted to do from the first place. See, Abimelech was modest. He was noble because he kept his word, even though he was a Canaanite. I wanted to be your brother-in-law, bro. Like, your sister's the baddest. Like, y'all came from out of nowhere, and look at you, Abraham. You didn't quite come here looking dusty like they put him on The Chosen and all them other shows. Like he ain't have nothing. Like I'm just old Abraham. Nah, people forget. Abraham's father was an idol salesman. Abraham was balling. Abraham was rich when the Most High brought him up out of the land of Ur. Abraham didn't leave with nothing. He already had substance. He used to sell idols when he was little. Go and read the Testament of Abraham. It's beautiful. It's only like probably like it's less than 100 pages, maybe 70, 80 pages. Read the Testament of Abraham. So, point of saying such is to say, Abraham already came in the land fly, and he came with this beautiful woman. It's like, this is, yo, I want to be your brother-in-law. You are a king from where you came from. Boom, we'll link up kingdom. Now, I'm not taking Abimelech side at all whatsoever. I'm not doing that. But what I am saying is that this did change my perspective of humanity because once I read this, I'm like, he genuinely had a sincere heart for being in love for this woman he thought he could be with, and he could be the brother of this great dude. So once I seen it like that, I had to grow up. All right, all right. So, but that's just me. You can grow down, or you can grow no. You know what I'm saying? Grow go, or you know what I'm saying, just slow post or slow roll. That's your thing. All right, this is what I have to do. And Fear asks Sarah, let's get back right here, but not as, because let me give him his props, but not as incited by lust to abuse her. Let's give a man his props, y'all. All right. Now, this is what Abimelech did, and this is how it leads down into astronomy. All right. If you're catching this later on the back end, maybe you can clip this part. So let's get into it. He also made him a large present in money. So Abraham got blessed with this event and gave him leave to enter into conversation with who? The most learned among the Egyptians. Let me explain. Abraham was given permission to make it to go into the summits to be able to speak into the synagogues that they had with Thoth. See, some people think that Thoth was, just a thing of its own, just an ibus-headed man that was from the land of, Atlantis, excuse me, Atlantis. But Abraham was taught to also be the contemporary and a teacher of Thoth. Now, some people actually believe that Thoth is Abraham. Now, I'm just telling y'all where my astronomical studies and research have taken me. I don't know where y'all been, and I ain't talking about just a couple clips from YouTube and video. I'm talking about books that I would like to share with you all to change your perspective and help give you a level up too. So this is what our father Abraham did, which is why us being the Chaldeans who we are, I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I've been said that. People had to start getting ready for it. Then when the Hebrew Israelite community started pushing me out, especially for some whole stuff, I was like, oh, I'm definitely not rocking with that. I've been a Chaldean. I had to say it is midnight oil, so I can speak a little bit liberally, man. You know what I'm saying? So once I started to see things, I was like, yep, my perspective is over here. So we've been Chaldeans. Somebody come with a debate. No, that's the land that they lived in. Okay, well, let's look at Abraham. Let's look at Abraham's father, Terah. He also made him a large present in money and gave him leave to enter into conversations with the most learned men of the Egyptians, from which conversation his virtue and his reputation became more conspicuous than they had been before. Conspicuous. Verse 2. I'm sorry. Paragraph 166, line number 2. Now, check this out. This is where we get back to our astronomical part, and I want to look at Job also, so don't lose your bearings. All right, I won't do the video too long, but you know what I'm saying? The baby sleep, you know what I'm saying? Praise. Let's get it. For whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs, you got the Egyptians that were formerly addicted to different customs. That's just madness right there. That's just wild. You know what that means? Here, let me show you what that means. Egyptian god pantheon, family tree. Egyptian god pantheon, family tree. All right. So this is madness. This is madness right here. This is the custom. This is a website that I like to use. I love to share it with you also. I like to share things. All right. All right. You can see it for yourself or I can link it. All right. Now, we have at the very beginning of the Egyptian God family tree, so-called Egyptian God family tree, we have a man standing on the top of chaos, standing out in chaos, right? Look at what his name is. Can y'all see what his name is? Look, let me share the screen. Here is the Egyptian god family tree. All right. Now, watch this. First of all, I like charts, graphs, maps. I like all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I went to prison early. So that's that. After that, it was over with. It's like, we ain't giving you no chances. We don't care how smart you are. Go over there. All right. So, all right. So long story short, in looking at the Egyptian family tree, we can find out where did Israel fall at. All right. So Israel fell in the wilderness when we worshiped Apis, the bull. Okay. Remember the sun disk, remember the horns, remember Aaron and his sons. They were priests, right? So something that's interesting about this is when we're also looking at the top of the Egyptian false god pantheon, there's a man that's holding a boat, and his name is Nun in the Egyptian I'm sorry, Egyptian false god pantheon. His name is Nun. Nun. He's holding a boat. Can anybody guess who he would be in Hebrew? None, 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 no. Yeah, that's Noah. Yeah, it's Noah. It's Noah. It's Noah right there in the Egyptian god pantheon at the top of all creation, holding a boat, an ark. And within that ark, the same number of people were saved. Egypt didn't come with nothing new. Abraham taught the Egyptians. So when people are giving this excessive, here go our homie now. I don't want to say homie like that because I'm still skeptical, because I'm still learning. But I will say this: I have been studying Thoth. Now I am not involved in any Egypt, saying false god deity connections. What I am seeing is that there are serious validities to a lot of this stuff. First of all, you have Anubis, the dog-headed dingo or whatever, so-called that. So Anubis and Saint Christopher are actually mentioned in other historical books. See, in the Egyptian time frame, there was referred to be a dog-headed god. I believe he was real because they're called Cyrus and Elephi, the dog-headed people in history. Saint Christopher in the Catholic Church, Marco Polo. These are real historians who wrote about seeing the culture of the dog-headed people who lived in India, who talked with barks and who was covered with fur, and they had a crown on their head of a cow. These are real. I can read it to you. You can look it up for yourself. So when I'm looking at Anubis and I'm looking at Saint Christopher, and Saint Christopher is documented as an actual saint within the Catholic Church, but he's a man with a dog head, you got to be like, what in the? And then go and look up. This stuff is real. Then you look up Thoth, and then you find out a man whose name was Trismos Megistus. This is only for those people who want to learn. We're only going to live for a little bit. Maybe I can talk you to sleep. Thoth and Trismos Megistus and Abraham. And you'll find out that yes, there was actual validity to some of this information. So let's back out from that real quick. So looking at that, we have the Egyptian so-called god pantheon. All right, which gives us a lot of information, upfront. Hey, who are these characters? When I was doing my debate against a brother that was, when I was doing my debate against a brother that was, on that topic, I'm like, well, hey, look, here's the Egyptian god who used to eat sperm and cabbage. That's not for me, my man. I don't believe in sperm and cabbage. Thank you. I don't want tainted lettuce, is what they call it in Egypt. Sperm and cabbage. Would anybody like some sperm and cabbage today? Would you like to try some crispy, cold sperm and cabbage? Would you like some sperm and cabbage? Yes? No? Yeah, not for me. No, thank you. The Hamites are some freaks, man. Let's get back to this. For whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs, which is why we went to the so-called Egyptian false god pantheon. These are all different customs. All of them arguing together within the African Kemetic community of Mut, Amun, Amun Ra, That's it. Ma'at, because Ma'at is the spirit of, and if you want to stop it, man, stop it. Let's get back to this real Black history, the Bible, man. Stop it. For whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs and despised one another's sacred and accustomed rites, and were very angry one with another on that account. You thought Hebrew Israelites in camps had it bad. You had Hamites that was worshiping crocodiles and Hamites that was worshiping hippopotamuses. And these niggas was fighting. Hungry, hungry hippo, and don't wake the crocodile in real life. Like they was beefing. It's, you thought Yasser Allah camps was doing it bad. No. And despised one another's sacred and accustomed rights and were very angry one with another on that account. Abram, this is where our father steps in, the father of the blacks, North American Indians, the father of the so-called Latinos, Latins. The so-called, I don't want to really use that, I'm saying? Those really is just Negroes and Indians. One man, Abram conferred with each of them. Abram broke down. He is the master street teacher. I'm not impressed. When I see, I'm not impressed. I read about what Abraham did. I watched Abraham. I watched him on the Isle of Patmos. I got rerun channels. I don't got cable or internet on the Isle of Patmos. I got just enough antenna signal to be able to go back and look at these files. Abram conferred with each of them and confuting the reasonings they made use of, every one of their own practices, demonstrated that such reasonings were void of truth. He broke down every single doctrine. I got time. Whereupon he was admired by them in those conferences as a very wise man and one of great sagacity when he discoursed on any subject he undertook, and not only in understanding it, but persuading men to assent to him. He communicated to them arithmetic and delivered to them the science of astronomy. For before Abram came into Egypt, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning. They were steadily arguing about the beetle god versus the river god. But the river can't exist without the beetle. The beetle can't exist without the river. What? Our father Abraham came in there and ran game on everybody and banged out. Hey, babe, get a drink for me. Huh? Oh, no, she my sister, though. You want to buy you a drink? All right. Yeah, she my sister. Whereupon he was admired by them in those conferences as a very wise man and one of great sagacity. When he discoursed on any subject he undertook, and this not only in understanding, but persuading other men to assent to him. Here go our point once again. He communicated to them arithmetic and delivered to them the science of astronomy. For before Abraham came into Egypt, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning, for that science came from the Chaldeans into Egypt, and from thence to the Greeks also. Greeks are the Johnny come latelys in this astronomy game. I want to hold that point real quick and get this for you. I got stuff to do. If you got to get some rest, I understand. My baby's asleep. Encyclopedia Britannica edition, the first. Oh no, don't go so slow. Encyclopedia Britannica edition, the first. I suggest everybody get this. If you can't get it, go to your local website like this one right here, or you can come to your brew and I'll share it with you. All right, so let's get this real quick. We're gonna share this screen. Throughout for being patient. All right, I'm gonna pull this up so you can see it because I like people to know things. Here's the link for this real quick. Throughout for that 7. Greatly appreciate that. All right, later skaters. So comments. All right, appreciate. Uh, oh, I'm not able to post right now. I can't post. I can't post my. Okay, so I can't post the link in here, but you'll be able to see it. I like people to know things. So let's get back to this real quick. So Encyclopedia Britannica edition is first, and we want to go to. Let's open up our book. I love my God. Now, everybody who just watched this, they witnessed us open this book, and in the process of opening this book, we landed on astronomy. You can't make this stuff up. Dwight Howard, I love y'all. This is what I serve. I mean, he does that all the time. We are in the astronomy section. Could have landed anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. All right, so now we're gonna find our bearings. Now that we're in the astronomy section. Oh, I'm sorry, that's anatomy. I still love y'all. Watching my chair outside. I should put my glasses on. How about that? All right, so now that I know that we're in anatomy, let's go back to. All right, I get myself up. Here we go. Arithmetic. This is what I want to get to. Salute to all my. I have a sincere respect for people who do math. I used to be in school when I was little, looking at the teacher like, you can count that? That's amazing! Wow, you understand those numbers? So and it was so funny because they'd be like that. They'd be like, Mother Morrow, Mother Yasharala, we don't understand why your son isn't getting these numbers because he's reading every book that we have. And I'll just be sitting there by the window playing with a bird like Rain Man. Playing with a bird by the window in school, like Rain Man, reading all the books, and they're like, we don't know what's up with these numbers. Oh, he's a Hebrew. Oh, yeah, they count backwards, or they count forward. This is the topic, the subject matter right here that the scripture says that we just read. When we're looking, it says, he communicated to them arithmetic. He communicated to them arithmetic. Arithmetic. Arithmetic is the science which explains the properties of numbers. And I want y'all to see this. I'm going to zoom in a bit. I want y'all to see this. This is an old book. This is an old document. All right. Look at this. It says the FCIENCE. FC. This is the old way of spelling science. Look how arithmetic is spelled. I should spell my name like that. I should change my name to arithmetic and spell it like that. I ain't seen nobody do that yet. But now that I've said it, I'm going to see somebody do it. And I'll be like, yeah, arithmetic. Now, how you name arithmetic? You don't be counting like that. Mm-mm. I don't know. Arithmetic is the science which explains the properties of numbers, and FHEWS shows the method or art of computing them. This is what Abraham taught to the Egyptians. But when you see arithmetic in this book over here, let's come over here. Just bear with me, okay? We're on page 99. Look at this. We're gonna come back to. Don't y'all miss that? Don't y'all miss flipping through books? Don't y'all miss that? Yeah, man, I miss flipping through books, man. Hey, come over here, man. Turn over here, man. Oh, hold up, I don't got that book. You gotta get that, bro. You gotta get that. Look over here. These are some of the topics that you can find in Isidore Seville's etymologies, which it vexes me so bad that there are people that actually have GEDs. Like, there's people that got GEDs and they don't read this stuff. Like to me, a GED is like a high achievement. There's people that got higher things than that. And they like that. Maybe they're just so smart they don't care. Look at this. If you want to learn about stones and metals, if you want to learn about war and games, if you want to learn about rural matters, ships, buildings, clothing, the priest clothes. If you want to learn about the Hebrew clothing line and make your own clothing line, you can read it from this book right here, first century book. You can have examples when you would blow people's mind styles. But if you want to hide anything from a black person, you put it in the book. Niggas are not going to read it. Please, Facebook, YouTube, don't trip. I am from Niger in the Bible. Okay, so hands up. I'm also one, so I can say it about my own people. Look at this. Mathematics, Music, and Astronomy, book number 3. See this? This is what Abraham taught. The learned body of knowledge that contemplates the abstract qualities is called mathematics in Latin. An abstract quality is something that we investigate by reasoning alone, separating it by means of intellect from one matter or from accidental qualities, such as even and odd and other things of this kind. There are four types of mathematics, namely arithmetic, music, geometry, and astronomy. Why did I just read that? Because the same thing that arithmetic is called in this book are the same categories that arithmetic is called in this book, are the same things that arithmetic is called in this book. So, what I'm trying to give you is the definition and understanding that Abraham didn't just teach the Egyptians astronomy, he taught the Egyptians everything. He taught the Egyptians everything. He communicated to them arithmetic and delivered to them the look at this, the science. See, in order to give them the zodiac, he had to teach them the entire science of astronomy, arithmetic and astronomy. For before Abraham came into them, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning. For that science came from the Chaldeans, and then from there we go to the scriptures and show how we are Chaldeans. I think we can leave that alone real quick right there. I want to go to Encyclopedia Britannica edition first. And I want to show something real quick that I posted on Facebook a little while ago. And yes, I have read this book. Yes, I own this book. Yes, I got it marked up. Have I went through all the numerical sequences? I have. And I didn't understand everything, but I tried. I diligently sat there and read it, and I read it, and I was like, okay, I don't get that. But let's skip down a bit. Let's skip down a bit because I want to show y'all what we're dealing with. Let's open up our pages, and we're going to go to one of my favorite sections. That's arithmetic. We're going to scroll down to astronomy now. All right. Now here's our section on astronomy. Right here, you can see that was the Ark of the Covenant. All right, we're going to look for chapter. I believe it's chapter 15. Chapter 15 is what we're looking for. Something really cool about this too is these are called plates. All right, these images that you're looking at, these are called plates. The purpose of the plates are that they were actually copper. All right, they were copper, and from copper they had great detail, and they were transmitted into images, and then from there, that's how they were copied. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at them, they got stupid detail, and I'm not seeing no flat Earth on there nowhere. Which I'm so past that; it's ridiculous. You know? But just for the sake of conversation, edification, you know what I'm saying? We still go through it. So we're still scrolling through. We're almost there. Go out, everybody, be patient. This is sincerely showing that this is what we do. All right. So boom. So here's one chart that I want to look at, and from here we're going to go to chapter 15. So let's pull this up. This is precessions of the equinoctial points in the heavens. All right. Anticipation of equinoxes or equinoxes on the earth. Now, the reason I wanted to come here, one of the reasons I wanted to come here was because we have some brews that have a serious problem with understanding the so-called Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, and understanding the Hebrew time frame. All right. So the Most High is truly good. He gives information. He doesn't leave us void. It's just that will you actually take time to read it? All right. So I want to show you this real quick, and then it's not going to be too, cryptic and problem solving and stuff like that. We're going to see some stuff, and I don't want you to get spooked. You're going to see Taurus. You're going to see Gemini. All right. We have the Julian equinox. These things are here because, you have to be able to see like, oh, our forefathers knew about this. The ancient fathers knew about this. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's go down to 15. All right. But the moon's motion. All right. Ecliptic. All right. I wanted to read this because there was a point where we were trying to prove that the earth was not a flat surface. And we also had to prove that the moon went around the earth and also around the sun, not just by Facebook or by social media, because we were accused of being, you know, I don't know, whatever they were saying. But this information of antiquity, it's like this book is like a 1611 King James encyclopedia. When I tell you this mug is so full, it's so rich with wisdom, like you'll love it. All right, let's get right to the script. Let's get to the meat of it. All right, let's see. Here's another. Here's another. All right. Now, I've tried to present this to Bruce. Oh man, I just left my page. I didn't mean to do that. I scrolled down way too. As soon as I found it, man, I tried to present this to Bruce, and not in the sense of, hey, listen, I want contention, I want to argue. It's but I'm genuinely asking for help. If I say to you, bring this to me. If I bring it to you and say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you read it to me? You supposed to be like, I got you. Let me help you. Let me read it to you. This is the information whenever we're dealing with the Hebrew calendar. Okay, when we're dealing with our calendar, and when we're dealing with what? When we're dealing with the Grecian calendar, and when we're dealing with the Egyptian calendar. And it's all right here. But Julius Caesar has already mentioned taking this troublesome affair into consideration, reform the calendar by making the year to conflict of 265 days and 6 hours. The year thus settled is what we still make use of, and where in Britain. But as it is somewhat more than 11 minutes longer than a solar tropical year, the times of the equinoxes go backwards and fall earlier by one day, about 130 years. Now, in a time in the Nicene Council, and it's documented right here, Council Nicene. See, precepts are everywhere. Once you find the hit, like, you can find it. Here's the history of the Gregorian calendar, and then the precepts of what calendars we currently live on now. People say they don't want to keep the Shabbat because they'll understand the Gregorian calendar. Negro, you don't understand the Gregorian calendar, and I know you don't. They just don't want to keep the Shabbat day, the seventh day of the week, so they can do whatever they want to on the Sabbath. That's really what it is. Saturday has always been the Shabbat from the time frame of creation all the way up until now. The calendar wasn't changed so bad to where it's like, now the question is wonderful and it's hypothetical. How can we know? Because the scriptures don't say that the beast would change times, laws, and seasons. The book of Daniel, it says would think to. The Gentiles gave names to the sun, the moon, and the planet, right? To the days of the week, right? To the stars, to the sun, all right? To the moon, to the third to Mars, to the fourth to Mercury, to the fifth to Jupiter, to the sixth Venus. I did these things. Look at this chart right here. You can read this and calculate this for yourself. And let me zoom out just a little bit so you can have a better perspective. Matter of fact, let's change it to 2-page mode. Yeah, let's change it to 2-page. All right, there we go. That's way better. All right, that's how it looks too, and it's how it looks. Right? So here's your here. Look, I didn't make this up. We can find out when Passover is. All right, we can find out when Pesach is because it's already written down in ephemeris. All right, it's called an ephemeris. All right, but I want you all to get a good screenshot of this so you can come back and look at it later, so you can learn astronomy. All right, the Arabic and Turkish year, the ancient Grecian year. All right, I was going back and forth with brothers, and they were concerned about what day is the new moon or what does the new moon look like. This is the resource that I was using, one of the resources that I was using, which we still have it here with me, Encyclopedia Britannica on astronomy, to help learn about the subject matter. So we're gonna go back a few pages. All right, bear with me. This book is phenomenal, man. Like, this is one of those ones you can look at and just get lost in because it's such a wealth of information. And then they hide jewels in books like this, like actually giving you how to calculate Yahushai's birthday. You know what I'm saying? How to calculate Christ's birthday. Look at this. The beginning of King David's reign. All right, the Julian period. All right, before Christ. Y of the word. I don't know what that means. Year of the word. Yeah, was that year of the word? I gotta learn what that means. All right, the second Babylonian captivity, birth of Cyrus. Look how much information this is. All right, and let me go back. Let's find our chapter now because there's something specific I want to read now. There we go. So we're in chapter 17. All right, so bear with us. I just seen it in the top corner. And the chapter that we're looking for, it actually starts down here. Yeah, this mug had me on fire when I was looking up when I was looking up, to try to prove, the celestial stance. This mug had me so lit, like I was walking around everywhere with this heavy book. All right, all right, we almost there, y'all. Bear with me. I'm pretty sure you'll see something that interesting. But the zodiac. Okay, so 10. All right, 14. All right, so that's 12. See it right here. This is 12. So this is the precession of the equinoxes. So if you have anybody want to learn about equinoxes, all right, there you go right there. All right, precession of the equinoctial points of the heavens. So this is chapter 13. The moon's surface. Look at this. The moon's surface, mountains, her shapes described. Look at this, man. So I'm going through it with brothers, and they like, they're regurgitating the same things over to me, and I'm like, you know what? I can't hear y'all because y'all aren't on the same level of study, and you're just you're kind of teamed up with your buddy, and you're just saying other stuff that your buddy is saying, like, you know. But if if you take the time and look at this, I didn't make this up. If you look at it for yourself, I guarantee you that you're gonna find something that's like, oh man, that's a doctrinal issue fixer right there. All right. So this is 13. All right. So we're in chapter 13. I'm trying to find chapter 14. All right. Bear with me. And was Job an Edomite? Can anybody give me an answer to that? Was Job an Edomite? All right. How am I missing this? Is chapter 15, 14 not in this book? So here's chapter. Here's okay. So here's 14 right here. All right. The phenomena of the harvest moon explained. Okay, explained by, look at this, a common globe. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, it's the word globe is everywhere. The word sphere is everywhere. All right. Let me show you this real quick. I'm gonna go to the book of Job. So let's go to Job real quick. Let's play around with Job. That's a fun one, man. I get lost in there. Like going to that book is like going to Narnia, right? Job chapter 38, KJV Blue Letter Bible. We're gonna share this page. Job chapter 38. Now watch this. This was something I thought was truly spectacular. Now we're still, and this is a great segue. This is an excellent segue because we're going from Job, uh, a slugger, from the constellation aspects of Josephus and the early church fathers, right? And seeing their wisdom. And now we're going to segue it over to Job and check out what he actually says. Okay. Now, we're in Job chapter 38. And let's see, as we go through, canst thou send the lightnings? Canst thou lift up the voice of the clouds? Knowest the ordinance of heaven? Here we go, right here. So, astronomy and the knowledge of the stars is nothing new. Here we have the zodiac and we have Orion. I'm not going to get into the pictures of everything. This is Taurus, the bull. This is Taurus in the Bible, right? All right. This is Orion in the Bible. All right. This is the zodiac. This is all 12 zodiacs in the Bible. I still got. I have to learn. I gotta learn Arcturus, which I should do that right now. I should do that right now. I remember seeing Arcturus, but I don't know if Arcturus is the. I apologize, everybody. I don't know how to type and talk at the same time. All right, so sorry for the pause. I don't know how to type and talk at the same time. So I need to learn about the constellation Arcturus. All right, Boots Arcturus. All right, so I'll learn about that more later, and then most times we'll be able to learn how to spot Arcturus. All right, but until then, this is what the Bible says about Arcturus right here in the book of Job, chapter 38. Job 38, 31 and 32. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pallades? Or, anyways, can you grab towards the bull by the tail? No, you cannot. That's literally, I mean, that's what I see in that. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pallades? That's where the constellation of Pallades is found in the tail of Taurus the bull. Or loose the bands of Orion. Can you let down the belt of Orion? Can you take off Orion's belt? Can you rearrange the constellational pattern of what is that? Series? What is that? Series A and Series B, a major star system that's right there in our eyesight every day. Can you take down Orion's belt? No. Can you grab towards the bull by the tail? No. These are constellations. Now, here go another thing. Last one, canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in its season? Can you spin the wheel of the zodiac in its time? No, you cannot. Let me prove that. So I'm going to close this window out and we'll be done with that one. And this segues us perfectly into Job. All right. This segues us perfectly into Job. So Job is making a lot of conversation about constellations, about zodiacs, about stars, about all this other stuff. When you think about the word Mazzaroth, this is the word that you just seen in the book of Job, chapter 38, right? This is what Mazzaroth means. Mazzaroth means, what's your sign? What's your constellation? I was born on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. I was born on the cusp ending Gemini going into Taurus. And you might have never known that the word Mazzaroth or the word zodiac has always been right here in the Bible. The word zodiac has always been right here in the Bible. This is crazy. This is called an artillery sphere. I had an elder ask me one time. He was like, "Show me in the Bible anywhere where we use apps." I said, "Apps? That's easy. App just means application. Let me show you some of the ancient tools we used to use to find." I was like, "That's easy. Sure. You want to see an app? Sure. Here you go. This is what you got to look up stuff like ancient Arabic astronomy. You have to look up ancient Turkish astronomy. You have to look up ancient East Indian astronomy because the ancient Hebrew Israelite astronomy has been hidden. You see what I'm saying? Big Chief always got to hold something back. All right. So this is the zodiac in the Bible. Now, I'm not telling you to put your left sock on your right foot, and if you do that, then what you'll do is have good luck. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the 12 tribes are related to the zodiac symbols also. All right, it's been known of through many years. We have the Hebrew months, we have the Greek months. Nothing's been hidden. It's just, do we have the tenacity to go back and look at it? All right, let's go back to this real quick. All right, Flavius Josephus, he gives us zodiacs. We have Job chapter 38, verse 32. He gives us zodiacs. Now, I'm going to end this off with Job. So let's go to Job. Let's begin at Job. All right. Let's start at Job from the gate. Job chapter 1. And it seems like whoever this wise man was, he seems like he had some knowledge, right? I want to find out. There was a wise man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright. And one that feared God and eschewed evil. This doesn't sound like it's talking about a Hebrew Israelite to me. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And the majority of brothers already know that Job was not an Israelite. They're just having, shock from having to come to the realization that, Gentiles can have salvation. and were here before a lot of us. How dare I anymore? And there was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance. Wait a minute. What happened to his bloodline? What happened to his lineage? What happened to his 12 tribes? Which tribe did Job come from? It's not mentioned in that book right there. Why isn't it mentioned with Job's tribe, bloodline, lineage, heritage? Why isn't it mentioned? Why isn't it mentioned? Was he from the tribe of Judah? He was from the tribe of Levi? Somebody got a breakdown for me? All right. Well, maybe we can get back to that. Maybe somebody can show me what they think. All right. I'm gonna pull up something real quick, and I'm gonna end it off with this. Here, look at this real quick. I want to tell you about it. Uh oh, I just yawned. That means I'm getting sleepy. It's over with. When I get sleepy, I shuts down. This is a real quick search. All right. What year was the Testament of Job? All right. The Testament of Job, not to be confused with the canonical book of Job, it is an apocryphal book likely written between the first century BC and the first century AD 20 and 23. That's old, dude. That's old, buddy. But you maybe not have ever heard of the Testament of Job. It's okay. I understand. Testament of Job is a book written in the first century or first century AD. All right. Some midrashic parallels in the work indicate that it was a production of the pre-Christian era. Pre. That means before Christian. Yeah, wow. And belongs to the Jewish Apocrypha. Wow. See, the issue with this is that everybody has to take a step back and reconsider what we know and what we don't know. Okay. Some stuff you might not like, but you gotta accept it. Everybody do. Okay. Let's get this real quick. We're gonna go to Safari. We're gonna go to books. We're gonna start right here. We're gonna scroll down. We're gonna go to the Testament of Job. I hope everybody can see this screen just real quick. The Testament of Job. Okay. Now, this is in relation to the book of Genesis, chapter 49. When Jacob died, he gathered his children around, and his children learned what Jacob said before he died. Job did the same thing. So apparently, this was an old custom. This is an old book, right? It's not a new white man found book, right? Listen to what Job says. On the day when he became sick and he knew he would have to leave his bodily abode, he called his 7 sons and his 3 daughters together and spake to them as follows. Form a circle around me, children, and hear, and I shall relate to you what the Lord did for me and all that happened to me. For I am Job, your father. Know ye then, my children, that ye are the generation of a chosen one. Wait a minute, let me read that again. It sounds like he stands out from everybody else. Know ye then, my children, that ye are the generation of a chosen one. And take heed to your noble birth. For I am of the sons of Esau. Hold on, wait 1 second. Let me see something. Genesis chapter 36, KJV, Blue Letter Bible. All right, so Genesis chapter 36. Let me just check something real quick. Genesis 36. All right, Genesis 36, verse 1. Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau, who is who? Who is Edom? Who is Esau? Edom. Who is the white man? Who is Edom? Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adad, the daughter of Elon, excuse me, the Hittite, and Aholibama, Alibama and the 40 Thieves. Alibama and the 40 Thieves. Y'all remember that? Yeah, y'all forgot about that Beastie Boys, right? Alibama and the 40 Thieves. Yeah, that was Esau's children. And the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Sibon, the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nabajah, and Adah bare Esau, Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Ruel. Whoa, whoa. And let's skip down to no, let's not skip down. I've read my whole generation. And the Holy Mama bare Jehush, and Jalam, and Korah. And these are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives of the sons and his sons, and Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all the beasts, and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob, and their riches were more than and for Genesis chapter 36, verse 7. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. And Esau dwelled in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. We are not done. Descendants of Esau. Genesis chapter 36, verse 9. If you are an Edomite, congratulations. This is your family tree. Genesis chapter 36 is the bloodline, just like you have the table of nations in Genesis chapter 10 for all people. You have Genesis chapter 25 for Ishmael, Genesis chapter 36 for Esau. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reu, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were, here we go, we can see Teman, we can find Teman mentioned in the book of Obadiah, all right? The wise men of Teman. So Teman is one of the head top tribes of Esau. Omar, and then we have this beautiful name right here. And why do I say this beautiful name right here? Because ninjas do not know about Conan the Barbarian for real. If you want to know about one of the baddest white boys, his name was Zepho. Zepho was Conan the Barbarian in real life. Joseph, my uncle, had Zepho in a hole, walking around in a circle, pushing a wheel all day and all night because Zepho was a beast. And if anybody let Zepho out of prison, Zepho is definitely going to try to wage war with the children of Israel because Zepho, the grandson of Esau, couldn't stand us. Zepho was Conan. And you can read about him also, I believe, in the book of Jasher. Zepho was a monster, right? So, but here's the beautiful part about Zepho. Zepho called on the Lord. How can I say all of these things and then turn around and say, but he called on the Lord? Because he did. Zepho called on Yahweh when it was time for Zepho to go to war, and Yahweh defended Zepho, the Edomite, and then Esau's grandson, Zepho, forgot about Yahweh delivering. And that's what messed Zepho up. He called on Yahweh, Yahweh delivered him, and he forgot about Yahweh. And got him the Kenaz, but that's not, saying, not ending the story there, saying, learn about the Conan the Barbarian Negro Edomite named Zepho. We were scared of him. This dude was a beast. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Ruel, Nahath, Zerah, Shemah, Nizah. These were the sons of Beshemath, Esau's wife. What I would encourage people to do is if you hear some of these names and they trigger you, write them down and look them up. Hold on, we're not done. We got a few other ones. Let's go. And these were the sons of Aholibama, the daughter of Anah, the wife of Zibeon. Esau's wife, and she bare Esau, Yehush, and Jalam, and Korah. These were the dukes, the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, firstborn, son of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz of the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah, and these were the sons of Roel, Esau's sons, Duke Nathan, Duke Zerah, Duke Shemamah, Duke Mizmah. These were the dukes that came of Roel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashmah, Esau's wife. Verse 18. And these are the sons of Holibama, Esau's wife, Duke Jeush, Duke Ja'alam, Duke Korah. These were the dukes that came of Aholibama, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Esau, who is Edom. These are their dukes. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land of Latan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, and Daishan, and Ezer, and Daishan. And these are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were Horai and Hemam. And Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shobal were these: Alvan, Manahath, and Ebal, Shepho, and Onma. Wait, Onam. Onam. Esau was getting it, man. Let's keep reading on. And these are the children of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. And this was the Anah that found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father. Stop right here. Verse 24 is very important. I want you all to document verse 24, and I want you to look up on your own time frame. This is where the monsters come into play. Esau was one of the first that I've seen, because outside of the East Indians, Esau was one of the first to interact with what are called portents, half people, half monsters. And they've been in communication with him ever since. Genesis chapter 36, verse 24. If you don't believe me, this will send you down a conspiracy rabbit hole. You don't believe me? Why does it say this was that Anah that found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father? Why does it say that? Do you think that he was just his story was just like, oh yeah, that's the one guy who feeds the donkeys? Yeah. That's all his narrative. The children of Zibeon, both on Jana, he fed the mules in the wilderness. Let me see. And the asses. This is why you have to read apocryphal books so you can get the whole narrative. I don't want to tell y'all what happened. I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you. Let's get back to this real quick. All right, mules and asses, verse 25, Genesis chapter 36, verse 25. And Anah were those Ishan and Holy Bama, the daughter of Anah. And these are the children of Deshan, Hemdan, and Eshban, and Ithran, and Shadan. The children of Ezer are these: Bilhan, and Zaavan, and Akan. The children of Dishan are these, Uz and Aran. Aran. And these are the dukes that came of the Horites, Duke Latan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zibion, Duke Anah, Duke Dishan, Duke Ezer, Duke Dishan. These are the dukes that came for among the dukes in the land of Seir. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. And the name of his city was Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, son of Zerah, and Bozrah reigned in his stead. And Jobab died, and Hushman of the land of Tini reigned in his stead. Now, here's where I just learned something new. Now, every time we read the scriptures, we learn something new. I don't want to tell you all what I learned yet because I just want to be observant. I don't want to tell you what I learned yet, but here's where our main character comes into play. Starting at verse 31, we have our pill crow. Our pill crow caught my attention, or our blind P or our backward speed caught my attention. And then after it caught my attention, I was like, huh, because we know the subject matter is going to change, right? Right here in verse 33, let's read verse 1. It says, and these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. Hold that thought real quick, everybody. I'm going to close that window. And we're going to close this window. We're going to close that window. And we're going to open this window. All right. And I want to share this book with you all so you all can see it for yourself. I want to share this book. These books. Look at this. So we went from here to Genesis chapter 36. Now we went from here back to Genesis, from Genesis 36 back here. The Testament of Job, right? Okay, blameless. Chapter 1. Let's see what it says. For I am Job, your father. Know ye then, my children, that ye are a generation of chosen one, and take heed of your noble birth. For I am of the sons of Esau. My brother is Nahor, and my mother is Dinah. By her I have become your father, for my first wife died with my other children in a bitter death. Hear now, children, and I will reveal unto you what happened to me. So this narrative wasn't written in 19, 17, 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, 14. It goes all the way back to first century. I don't have time to argue with new Israelites who don't understand, nor want to read, nor perceptually consider. But what we can do is we can try to show for once and for all that these narratives are here. This is the Testament of Job and my thoughts on astronomy. Y'all brought come y'all watch my check outside, get some rest. I know I'm going to. And I hope in some way this was at least some type of edification, something that helped you to learn something different. Let's walk. Y'all brought come hold on some outside. Shalom. Leave your thoughts in the comment. I'll get back at you. One minute, y'all.